in the standpoint of, this is a win or go home situation. Obviously, this is very different than college, and it's a learning process for me too. Obviously, this is my first playoffs, and a lot of us on this team's first playoffs, so we're all kind of going through it at the same point and learning, and you don't always know what to expect because a lot of us have never been here, but that's the most experience that I have is from college, obviously coming in here as a rookie and this being my first playoff, so at the same time I'm just trying to learn it and go with it, but I feel like I've been in a lot of high pressure, intense games, and that's what the playoffs is, so it's not anything you shy away from. Some are going to be good, some are not going to be as good, and lucky for us, the first game wasn't as great, and you have an opportunity to come back the next game and try to play a little bit better and give yourself a chance to take it back home. And
a brutal eye poke, rising tensions and calls for change is the WNBA facing a crisis. Caitlin Clark's playoff injury has shaken the league and fans are demanding answers. Stay tuned as we break down how this shocking incident could change women's basketball forever. Caitlin Clark, one of the WNBA's brightest stars, found herself but the center of a controversy after Dijonai Carrington delivered a brutal eye poke during a playoff game. This incident not only impacted Clark's performance, but also sparked debates about player safety, officiating, and even racial tensions within the league. Today we're diving deep into what happened, the fallout, and how the WNBA could be forced to take action. And in a playoff game that was expected to showcase the best of the WNBA, a moment of controversy stole the spotlight early in the match. Just minutes into the game, Dijonai Carrington of the Connecticut Sun delivered a brutal eye poke to Caitlin Clark of the Indiana Fever. The incident left Clark reeling, visibly distressed, and struggling with the UFC for the rest of the game. But what made this moment truly shocking was not just the injury itself, it was the lack of any call from the officials. Basketball is a contact game and players expect the use of forceful consolidation, but the point at which forceful consolidation transforms into flagrant fouls could at times be tentative. Some of his fans, most of the analyst, or in one page that in this case Carrington went overboard when he hit Clark in the head with the belt. That is why the refusal of the referees to blow the whistle and award a foul on the WNBA should cause apprehension. Were it possible for the board to just overlook such an important aspect, then it could be pure ignorance, but where player safety is concerned, one cannot help but wonder whether there are deeper problems in the league's protocols. Facebook, Twitter, and other social sites were opened as soon as the incident happened. This actually caused an uproar from fans, many of whom were questioning why the league did not take any action to protect one of its premier talents. This was not some mere silly formality which one may easily scoff, as it could turn the game around and possibly the rest of the playoffs. Clark, who has been most effective and hard-working, attempted to continue playing despite the injury and clearly became very irritated after the game. She complained about physicality of the defense and abuse by the officials, thus provoking the enshrine of animosity. The event is distinctly symptomatic of the eating conflict between physical engagement in a game and the necessity to protect a player from a consequent injury, which is gaining importance proportional to the WNBA's evolving profile. The eye poke is now being considered for what effectively happened for this playoff series and possibly for the future of officiating for WNBA. Now the league has responsibilities to reconsider its strategies and ensure the non-occurrences of such mishaps and future. Ben Singer has dubbed young Catherine Clark one of the most promising WNBA players, noting her outstanding shooting, leadership during the game, and the ability to score a decisive number of points herself. However, it went a step further after the eye poke episode, and her stamina had dipped to a different low. That was not just a physical issue, but she also lost her footwork and mobility in the game as well. Prior to the injury, Clark was projected to steer the Indiana Fever to a hard-fought series against the Connecticut Sun. She lifted the Fever to the level that now puts them in the fight for playoffs with her scoring and creative play. However, that shooting prowess could not be seen after the incident as Clark's shooting accuracy plummeted. It was a dramatic change from her constant booming three-pointers to shooting only 4 of the 17 balls that came her way. This sharp deterioration in the accuracy of the work done is a direct effect of an eye injury which affects her vision and her focus. Clark got angry with her performance as well as the failure of other players and the teammate to make changes. The Fever wasn't entirely different team after the incident, and Clark's teammates could not step up to cover her inefficiency. She was expected to carry the team in terms scoring and assisting others, thus playing with injuries. She was unable to push the team to match the Sun. This particular injury had a snowball effect in the entire game. When Clark was benched as the team's major source of attack, the Fever had more ground to give up. The situation in defense was worrisome and the team was further overwhelmed on Connecticut's side before the game was demoralized 93-69. This episode shows that the dynamics can be easily affected when one of the members is removed from the equation with reference to Clark. This regression was a nuisance not only for her personal effectiveness and the efficacy of her activity but also the team's effectiveness and its chances to remain competitive in the series. The Fever will have to think about adjustments going forward as they go up against tougher competition on the schedule, and Clark may not be the same player. Big cause of the injury, her performance in the next game might determine if her team is going to win the series and maybe even their playoff future. Player safety has now become an issue of discussion because of the eye poke, and some people have worries on how the WNBA handles aggressive plays and safeguard its leading athletes, while in the recent seasons the emphasis is put on the talent and physical ability of the participants. Unpleasant incidents like that are a stark reminder that the league still has to go a long way in protecting its performers. Since the inception of basketball, supporters and participants have urged organizers and referees to have standards that bar malicious play. Thus the league, which the WNBA aims to play, has prided itself in the high level of competition that it provides, but care must be taken in implementing efforts to make the game much more competitive, as it is to embrace caution to ensure that the players are not physical hazards to themselves. Because of this, many people think that the referees did not make the right decisions, especially about Caitlin Clark, and this needs to be managed. It is important for the WNBA to safeguard its players, most especially those stars who are critically important in the expansion of the league and improvements in the league's finances. Looking at the current growth and fan base and further growth of the league, this is something the league's players must feel safe from on the court. This means rethinking the code on how ladies, gentlemen perform themselves, and also to guarantee that the referees be held accountable for calls they fail to note which may lead to bringing harm to the others. Perhaps the eye poke is the violation that will force change in the way WNBA handles player safety issues. Most are demanding that the guidelines are defined more comprehensively, the existing guidelines be implemented with much more rigor, and that individuals who perform risky moves be punished with far greater severity. Therefore, these points also contribute to the fact that if the WNBA will be able to cope with these problems, this is not only the protection of its players but also the consolidation of the status of a professional league that guarantees the well-being of the athletes. However, extending beyond the boxer's eye, the eye poke incident seems to bubble up the racial and social issues in the WNBA. Several commentators have suggested that the tension between Caitlin Clark and Dijonai Carrington merely stems from sectarian division, racism, and especially jealousy existing within the league. Players of the WNBA or as diverse as we can find in other professional sports leagues with people of color and from different cultures. However, such diversity may be a subject of conflict, especially when raised questions are set up with the confrontation on the court. Some have drawn race into this assumption and expected that Carrington might be clearly at fault for an aggressive play due to the under fire and foul that never made it to the referees. The discussions have mainly been encouraged by the use of social media platforms in the fans. Some of them have said that the league is turning blindfold on such types of problems, while some fans mention that the media has not focusing on this case and does not know whether this issue is a racial one or not. There, Clark is a high-profile white footballer and Carrington is a black man has made the matter another level, and are people saying the racial tension in the league is being downplayed amid all the controversy surrounding the eye poke incident? One thing is clear, but nonetheless the WNBA, his appeal is progressing. The rating for the league has been rising over the last few years, and the final between the Indiana Fever in Connecticut Sun was also well watched. Much as the media has criticized the game, this controversy has served to bring more viewership to the league, with fans eager to find out how the saga will be solved. The WNBA has tried to develop its brand and gain attention from the public, and can be seen well manifested through the increasing followers. Yep, in the league, guys like Caitlin Clark are attracting new fans and viewers, while the great gameplay on the court is exceeding their expectations. The league has taken on a more serious approach and marketing its stars and selling the athleticism of the players, and it has been a success, with more fans emitting the WNBA than it used to be. Growing visibility of core springs more critical attention. It is important to remember that the incident with the eye poke with the league's player safety and officiating at the forefront, and the actions that follow as the WNBA grows, will shape its image. Audiences are watching, and if the league does not act on these questions, it can increasingly distance itself from some of the fandom the eye poke has sparked widespread calls for change within the WNBA. In the league now faces a crucial decision: will it act as it has done concerning the fears that this controversy has raised, or will it just go about its business as usual? The situation is tense, and currently the result of this mishap can significantly affect the development of WNBA for few years. There is no aspect that fans and players are keen to see changed more than the officiating body. This is true because the no call and Caitlin Clark's incident has further reinforced what many fans, observers, and analysts feel, that the rules of the game are not well defined and that the enforcement of such rules is extremely arbitrary. As has been said, the risky behavior should be followed by a higher penalty, and the referees who do not protect the players on the field are also to be punished, and that's the end of this dramatic WNBA playoff period. This is because Caitlin Clark experienced a FaceTime and a side injury and has further raised controversy issues that have reduced the credibility of the players and fans in the league. This has to be a win-win situation for both Los Angeles WNBA, since today's events may determine the course of business for several years to come. As to what is your opinion, should there be stricter calls and better shield for the players? Is this a normal thing? Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and turn on the bell icon so that you're always up to date with the latest on women's basketball and much more.